From having my first one-night stand to learning sunscreen actually does matter. I learned a lot in my 20s, and in today's episode, I want to share some of my most valuable lessons from my 20s with you. Hello, and welcome to the Fast Forward Amy show, the show where we lift your life and business with simple strategies. I'm Fast Forward Amy, your host and coach, and I'll bring you a new episode every Tuesday. Happy birthday to me. Happy birthday to me, in de besta danko. Happy birthday to me because it's February 1st as we are airing this, and I am turning 29 today. Whew. And as I was prepping for this episode, my team member Robin was so kind to point out to me that I only have 1 year to go before my 30s, so it might be the perfect time to share with you some maybe weird lessons I've learned in my 20s. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do today. This is episode 115 of the Fast Forward Amy show. It's my birthday episode, and that means that if you go to fastforwardamy.com/115, you can find all of the tips I'm gonna share with you or lessons I've learned in my 20s, because we write everything down in the article there. As it is my birthday, by the way, know that we also have a birthday sale running, so come on over to my Instagram page and check it out, because on my birthday I like to offer something special to anyone who follows me. So come on over to FastForwardAmy on Instagram and I'll see you there. Okay, enough bullshitting around. It's time to dive into the cold, harsh truth of the things you learn in your 30s. And I want to kick this off by saying no one cares about your grades. I know when you are at university or college or whatever it's called, you think your grades are really important. Now, I used to be a really high achieving student. I was like, I want to get 20 out of 20 and blah, blah, blah. And at a certain point, I realized, you know what? I just need to graduate. I just need to get the degree. I don't actually need good grades to do that. I just need to pass half. And unless you are really looking for a top position at a really, really top firm, no one actually cares about your grades. And I can know because I have 10 full-time team members. I don't know what any of them went to school for or what their grades were. I know what some of them did at school, but I don't actually even care about their degree. And I definitely do not care about their grades. And literally no one has ever asked me about my grades too, or either. I don't know. So yeah, no one cares about your grades. It's just in your head. Just passing your classes is enough in most cases. Sorry to all the moms out there, but just go and spend some more time on being happy or on building a personal brand, whatever. And one of the other lessons I learned in my 20s is that no one thinks about you as much as you think they are. At the end of the day, people go to sleep and think about themselves, and they wake up and they think about themselves. So stop worrying about what other people think of you, because they're just thinking about themselves. Next up on the list is stay hydrated. When you go out, it's really important that you drink water. Also, just throughout your life, it is important that you drink water, especially as you're nearing your end of your 20s. It becomes much more important that you stay hydrated while going out, because your hangovers will become a bitch. And I'm certain that in a few years, I will think it was a joke now, but I think we can agree. Yeah, looking at the team, looking at my team member there, who's there with me in terms of age. Hydrate. But in all jokes aside, there are also more serious things you need to know earlier in your 20s. Like, skincare is important. I am ashamed to admit I am 29 years old as of today, and I only started taking skincare semi-seriously this year. I still don't fully understand how it works, but there's so much, like take your makeup off when you go to sleep, always. Even when you don't have makeup, cleanse your face. Always wear sunscreen, even like you might think it's just to not get burned, but it's about so much more than that. I might not have all the details, but I do know that skincare is really important, and I feel really old saying that. And if we're talking about medical stuff, I think it's also important that we touch on the subject of contraception. You know, when your mom or your doctor put you on the pill when you were 15, my doctor put me on the pill at 15 because I always had so much pain from my period. I went on the pill. I got super emotional, bitchy from it. And throughout the years, I experimented with different types of contraception. First, it was for the pain. Later, it was to not get pregnant, although it took me a really long time to have sex for the first time. So there's that. I was on contraception way before I was actually having sex. And looking back at that, I don't know what kind of influence that had on my health and my life, but I know for a lot of friends it has had a terrible, terrible influence on their fertility, on their overall just health patterns in general. And usually, for example, when you have a very painful period, it just means that something might be wrong, that you might be really inflamed, that you might be eating things that are making your body inflamed or have certain habits that aren't good for you. There is so much more to your hormones than just pumping your body full of contraception. So I want to say, get informed, make sure that you are getting informed elsewhere than just normal doctors prescribing you with contraception. But obviously, next up is make sure you use protection when you're having sex, because STDs are a real thing. And after some time in my 20s, me and my friends can attest to the fact that you gotta be careful, use protection. Next up on the list is, I remember when I was 18 or something, I was always fairly good with money. But I did feel like saving was kind of redundant, because I was like, what if I save 30 euros a month and I save that every month because that's the only thing I can afford to save? Like, is it gonna add up? But I can tell you, getting financially savvy, starting to make more money, putting more money aside, ramping up your savings, maybe even start investing in a very easy way, it really does add up. And you might think, I'm not gonna buy an apartment with that amount of money. It is always good to have a financial buffer. It is always good to know more about your finances, even when you don't have any money yet. It's really good to start getting educated. So start educating yourself about money, because money, relationships, sex, all of that is stuff they don't teach you at school. So you have gotta take ownership and just like get educated yourself. Listen to some podcasts on it, start reading books. You cannot start too early. What I want to add there is that your environment might not be the best influence on you there. So you might think, oh yes, but my parents have always done it that way, or relationships have always worked like that throughout my childhood. This is the perfect time to start reading up on not just business stuff or career stuff, which is where you're probably headed in your 20s, but it's really good to read up on your health, on your relationships, on your finances, because that stuff, no one actually knows how it works unless they're an expert, and you're gonna find that in books and in courses. Date, don't commit. I've always been an overcommitter. I commit way too soon. And looking back, I think I could have gotten away with dating a bit more, committing a bit later, and not feeling so guilty about maybe like outgrowing a person or outgrowing a relationship, and just like taking it easier. When you meet a guy, you don't have to go, will I marry this guy? From the get-go. You can just date without actually committing to that person. Again, also, this was not me who said that on the list. That was Robin who added this. She wants you to date, not commit. Take your supplements. Yeah, you might think they're bullshit. I thought they were bullshit for a really long time. Turns out in the past year, I've realized supplements are not bullshit. They're actually really good for you if you have the right supplements. And you might think you're taking your supplements, but you're probably taking them like twice a week instead of 7 days a week. Start committing to your supplements, because your body is full of deficiencies. And it's gonna fuck you up. Really important relationship lesson here. Really important. I only learned this recently, or realized it was so true recently. When people talk shit about other people, they're talking shit about you too. And while we're at it, don't talk shit about people. I know that venting is human. I know that all of us need to vent at some point, but basically gossiping, talking shit about people, it's a form of negativity. It's best to just not allow that negativity into your life. When you feel the need to be jealous of someone, when you feel the need to be gossiping about someone, ask yourself, why do I feel this way? And is this about me or about them? It's probably about you, and realize that when someone else is saying shit like that, it's also about them. But if they are talking shit about someone else to you, you should stop them, ignore them, walk away from them, and definitely realize that they will be talking about you the same way. It's science. Yeah, it's science from a 29-year-old. When you drink good wine. Don't drink shitty wine. Go to a nicer bar, buy nicer bottles of wine. Don't drink crappy wine. Life is too short. You'll never regret spending money on a vacation is something I learned throughout university. I was also always working really hard, studying really hard, and I still spent a lot of my money, sometimes my last few euros on vacations, and I don't regret any of them. I don't regret spending money on airplane tickets. I don't regret spending money on food on those trips, on experiences. I think we will regret spending money on stuff, but we won't regret spending money on experiences. So put your money in experiences instead of in stuff, because the stuff you choose in your 20s is gonna fade fast anyways. Like, you won't like it when you're almost 30. You're gonna buy other stuff, so maybe I should invest in experiences now too. Well, that's been difficult these past 2 years. Yeah, shit, I feel attacked by my own episode. I also feel ashamed about the amount of swearing I have done in these last 2 months of the FastForwardAmy show. I feel like maybe I should preface this by saying, if you have little ones running around, Marie Forleo does this. She has like this little intro where she's like, if you have little ones running around, put on your headphones. I also know it's very typical for a non-native English speaker to swear so much, so apologies. Maybe this is why I don't have a huge American English speaking audience. Yeah. In your 20s, you might also find, or at least I found, that I really needed help. And I thought that made me weak. I have gone through periods these past years where I felt incredibly lonely, incredibly misunderstood, incredibly weak, but I wanted to be strong, and I really wanted some help, but I thought no one could help me. And I'm really happy and I'm grateful to myself for getting out of that and for actually being open to looking for a therapist, being open to asking for help. But my pride and my ego definitely kept me from doing that for a long time. I got a business coach way late in my business, and I probably could have saved myself years in building up my own business if I had gotten a business coach sooner. I felt too good for that, and at the same time I didn't feel good enough. I was like, oh, but they're gonna point out what I'm doing wrong. And with a psychologist or like a therapist, at a certain point, I wasn't ready for what they were gonna tell me, so I didn't talk to people. I also know there was a time in my life where I knew my mom knew what was best for me, and I didn't talk to my mom for a bit because I didn't want to hear it, and I wasn't ready to open a certain type of box. But maybe it would have been better to open that box sooner. So lesson from my 20s is get help. Getting help doesn't make you weak. It makes you stronger. It's going to make you stronger for your future, stronger for your environment. It's just, getting help is good. It is still such a taboo. It doesn't matter in which shape or form. Just ask for help and don't stop until you got what you wanted. And then, ironically, my next line says, don't trust anyone. I think in our 20s, we are also still naive enough to want to believe other people, to trust other people. But there, I think I really like the saying, when you have a bad gut feeling with someone, trust it. So for me, for example, when hiring, when I have a bad gut feeling, I won't hire someone. When I have a good gut feeling, I need to support it with evidence. This is something my dad and I say so often. Support a good gut feeling with evidence. Just don't trust your gut feeling. You think your intuition is right, but in the end, what I said earlier is everyone is just thinking about themselves. In business, in your career, in relationships, people are going to screw you over. Do not trust anyone. Don't give them ammunition. Protect yourself. I know this sounds very, very negative, but I remember years ago, I was in the office of a friend of my parents and I was helping her out with some stuff. And I told her, oh, but good thing you trust me, right? And she told me, it's like this. She just looked at me. She's like, no, I don't trust anyone. And I was like, whoa, harsh. That's heavy. And looking back, I get it. I think it's difficult. The pendulum of change means that if you, let's say you're super trusting, and then all of a sudden you get blindsided and then you go to the other side and you don't trust anyone. With change, it's always that in the end we will end up in the middle. I'm currently in a space in my life where I'm having a lot of difficulty trusting people. If I'm being honest, I got hurt a lot. And I feel a little bit stupid for trusting people, for allowing them so deep into my life, for doing so much for them and like emptying out my own energy give bucket and not getting other people's energy back. and for like being blindsided, being screwed over. And I think from that, I have learned a really hard lesson, and I'm still learning it. And I'm also still trying to see how I need to manage this. But no one just deserves you or your trust just like that. People get to earn it. And maybe in a few months I won't be as bitter anymore, but this is a hard lesson I learned in the past year. Don't just trust anyone. You're worth more than that, actually. So make sure they earn your trust. And that doesn't mean you can't open up to people. It just means that you gotta know who you open up to about what. And then to go further along the dark things I want to tell you is no one is coming to save you. Yeah. And that's why I want you to think about your finances early on. That's why I don't want you to just give money to people when they ask you for it. That's why you should love yourself first, prioritize yourself first. I know it's really difficult. I know it's difficult for the people pleasers out there. I know it's difficult because people will perceive you as selfish, but no one is coming to save you. So make sure you can always save yourself, and you've like installed fail-safes for yourself so you can save yourself. That means money on the side, taking care of your own energy and health first, because at a certain point you might have to go and rescue someone else because no one is going to save them. But just know that in the end, this is very dark. I want to say in the end you're all alone, and I don't mean that fully, because for me, for example, I have amazing friends. I have an amazing support system. I have such a sweet family who's there for me. But in certain areas of your life, you will be alone because, again, everyone has their own shit going on. So just know that your happiness won't be created by someone else. Your financial stability won't be created by someone else. Even when you're working for someone else, that company can go bankrupt. Make sure you have your own savings. Start investing. No one is coming to save you. Make sure you've already saved yourself beforehand. That's also why you need to use contraception, as in wear a condom. Protection. I like how I get to like talk about sex every so often in this episode, but not too much. And that's also aligned with what I wanted to say is choose yourself first. This is a time in your life when you get to do that. You get to choose what you're going to go and study for. You get to like make sure you get a grant for something, or you get to live off of not a lot of money and still go after your passion. You get to love yourself first. You get to be selfish. This is a time in your life when you get to be selfish. And by the way, all of this you can take with you in your 30s too, or later in your life too. But these are just some lessons I did learn in the past couple of years. And I know for me, I've always been fairly mature for my age. A lot of people told me like, but you're still so young and should you be working this hard and blah, blah, blah. And I definitely don't regret working so hard. I do regret not relaxing more and partying more. So I'm rectifying that right now when I can. But choosing yourself first and being radically unapologetic about what you want before what other people want. Yeah, that's something you're allowed to do before you have kids, assuming you don't have kids. And even then, when you have kids, it's important to take enough time to choose yourself first too. Super tip from Robin is invest in good candles. In your 20s, you will learn to appreciate candles. You will also be amazed at how much rugs will cost you, but candles are the shit. You can never have too many candles. Candles will make a really uncozy space really cozy. Things you need in your interior, you don't just need IKEA furniture. You need candles, you need wood, you need nature elements. You actually do need plants because you will feel much happier in your house. And I'm getting a lot of nodding from the crew, so they are agreeing with me. If it's not a fuck yes, it's a fuck no. When you are committing to someone, when you are moving forward in a relationship, this is kind of like the whole intuition thing earlier, but if it's not a fuck yes, it's a fuck no. And that goes for stuff you want to keep in your house, aka Marie Kondo, does this spark joy for you? I think too often in our life we are focused on, we have all of this and should we not do that? A friend is asking you out, or someone you used to know is asking you for a favor, and our reaction is always yes. But what if our reaction was more no? And sometimes we look at, is it a fuck yes? Then I'll go and do it. We do too much out of wanting to people please others, not enough out of creating fuck yeses for ourselves. This goes for buying clothes as well. If you're standing in a dressing room and it's not a fuck yes, you don't need to buy it. This is a really important life lesson. If it's not a fuck yes in the mirror there, don't buy it. If it's just a I'll chill in it, don't buy it. You have enough clothes to chill in, okay? Also, the chill clothes need to be a fuck yes. You are not intimidating. They are intimidated. This is for all of my women out there and guys who want to be big, who want to play big, who have big dreams, who want to go after their dreams. You are not intimidating. You are not too much. They are intimidated, and that has nothing to do with you. So when you are going out and a guy thinks you're intimidating, that's on them. It's not on you. You're good just the way you are, and you could even do with being a little bit bigger. So ask yourself, and I need to do this on the daily, by the way, at the time of this recording, am I keeping myself small? And if so, why? Why are you keeping yourself small? To make other people more comfortable? Newsflash, they will never be comfortable. Even if you keep your light dimmed a little bit more, even if you stay a little bit smaller, they will still think you're too big. They will still think you're intimidating because they are intimidated, because they are projecting on you. You are not intimidating. They are intimidated. Next up is what I wish I would have changed. Like, I don't regret a lot of things, but I do sometimes think I could have changed some stuff. Is when I was in university, I was really focused on building my business. I'm happy I did that because it got me to where I am today at a fairly young age. But I also wish I would have built more connections at university, maybe studied abroad more, gotten to know a lot of great people, because your network is your net worth. That's a lesson I learned early on because I did move to Italy when I was 18 for a year. But your network really is your net worth. So make sure you create a good network for yourself, that you have phone numbers of everyone, that you write down who they are and what they do. A really good book about that, by the way, is Never Eat Alone by Keith Ferrazzi. It's just about real human networking. It's a good book. And yeah, I think in university I was so focused on just making it through there, I might have benefited from just connecting more with people. And I definitely would have also focused on building a personal brand and like building a blog or something, so that all of those people know who you are and that will benefit you later on. Did I have to build my business at university? Didn't have to, but I was unstoppable. Like, I couldn't not. It was just entrepreneurship. I thought I didn't want to, but in the end I was doing it before I knew it. But I definitely think building a personal brand, building a network are things you definitely need to do in those early years of your 20s. And also later on, obviously. Never borrow from tomorrow. It's one of my favorite quotes. I think I made it myself. Well, I'm certain I made it myself, but maybe someone else has said it. That means I used to borrow calories from tomorrow. I used to think I'll eat a bit more today and then I'll eat less tomorrow. I used to think I'll postpone this until tomorrow. I'll stress myself out by postponing this. I'll do that next time. And I think that the traveling and the things I did, that was definitely never borrowing from tomorrow. I just did it then because I personally don't really feel aligned with the whole millionaires by 30 mindset, or the whole I'll give up everything to create my dream life. I think there's a really fine line between loving yourself right now and being disciplined at the same time. In 2 weeks, by the way, after Valentine's Day, I'm publishing an episode about self-love and self-discipline. Never borrow from tomorrow for me means doing the workout today, although it's not perfect, although I'm not feeling it. Never borrowing from tomorrow for me means going to bed on time, because tomorrow you will be grateful for that. But never borrowing from tomorrow also means if you have a sleeping schedule that you want to be in bed by 10 p.m., but you're having a really great time with your friends, stay up, spend time with friends. Never borrow from tomorrow in the things you think are really important, because those things might not come around the corner anymore. I lost a really good friend of mine, or he was a friend of mine and he was a really good friend of my brother's. And he was in his 20s. And I think if he were here today, he would definitely tell you to never borrow from tomorrow. To not stress too much about your finances. Make sure there are some things like put away, but make sure you appreciate all of the time you're spending with friends and family. And I think I'm recording this about your 20s, but I think this just goes for our entire life. Never borrow from tomorrow. Do the big things today, because your actions today define the way your life looks like tomorrow. Not the things you think you're going to do tomorrow. It's the actions today that count. So never borrow from tomorrow. And I have so much that I could say. One of those things is what got you here won't get you there. It goes for your business as well as your life. Sometimes you'll be like, oh, but I've always done it like this, so yeah, when you've always done it like this, it's probably time to change. Like, don't change a winning team, but if the team ain't winning, change the team, right? And by team, I mean your process. You shouldn't necessarily change your goals, change your targets, but you should always be open to learning, because I think that the moment you think you know everything, it's kind of the beginning of the end. So always be open to learning and know that what got you here probably won't get you there. What worked when you were 19 probably won't work when you're 29, which is something I need to think about for my health. Put your phone down, because your phone is sucking up your tomorrow. I think your phone is taking away, your phone is making you borrow from tomorrow. It's 2 hours on your phone is like 8 or 9% of your day. That's just bullshit. Your phone isn't gonna come to your funeral. Yeah, your phone isn't gonna come to your funeral. So put the fucking phone down. And last but not least, in our theme today, and by the way, I still have a surprise. My last one is really good. But before we talk about the last one, I do want to say we are soon opening up our Business Freedom Elevator program. And that means it's our 6-month business coaching program that will help you to create authentic authority, to attract your ideal clients and serve them, to create a really smart business model that makes both you and your clients really happy, and that, gets you to a place where you can achieve real freedom in your life and in your business. If you're interested in that and you'd like to have me as your coach in the upcoming 6 months, I'd love to invite you to the Business Freedom Elevator. You can sign up for our waitlist through FastForwardAmy.com/elevator. So that's linked in the description as well. But as I already said, it's also my birthday. Maybe you're listening later, so it might be less relevant. But if you are listening in my birth week, come and check out my birthday sale on my Instagram. Whew, okay. Last but not least, very serious. Might not be so serious, but how far do I go here? Not so far. I want to say, sleep around, get lots of orgasms. You are not a slut. I know the first time, and probably, I'm not going to go into details, but the first time I had a one-night stand, there, I said it on my podcast. Do I regret this? I don't know. The theme of this podcast is have no regrets, so I'm just going to put it out there. It is okay. I had a one-night stand, and it did not make me a slut. As long as you use protection and you're doing what you want, it is fine to experience with your sexuality. If anything, I think your 20s is a really great time to do that, because you know enough to do it, but I think that's great. Experiment with what you like. Experiment with telling people what you like. Experiment with yourself. Get a bunch of orgasms. Have lots of sex. Just make sure you're safe and you're actually enjoying yourself, obviously. I just want to tell you, you are not a slut. So if you still have some shame lingering around from stuff you did, it is fine. You are a human. You have a body. It's perfectly okay to enjoy your body. And this is the time to do that. So yeah, these are some of my life lessons from my 20s. I love it when I create these podcasts that I regret recording. I know I did a really good job. I also have some business lessons that I would love to share with you. Actually, also 29 business lessons. And if you're interested in my business Bible, where I will share those lessons with you, go to FastForwardAmy.com/business Bible. I created that both in English as well as in Dutch. So go to the link in the description. It's /business Bible. Ending your sentence with is very, very Flemish to do, even in English. So go and check out the Business Bible. It has 29 of my best business lessons. I would love to gift it to you, and I hope to see you in one of my coaching programs or on Instagram or next week on the podcast for a new episode of the Fast Forward Amy Show. Come and wish me a happy birthday, by the way. Thank you so much. Love you too. Talk to you next week.